I'm Janine Nodder, and this is Chatting with Janine, part 2 of Big Family, Big Heart. I was talking with the mother of 13, Cindy Bennett, and the half hour went by in a snap. So now we're going to find out what life is like once the 13 children are grown. So welcome back, Cindy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, gosh, it's been, 5 minutes since the last show? How have you been?
Right, I'm doing good. Got my water,
Yes.
refreshed, yeah.
So how old is your youngest now?
My youngest is 16, and he's actually has not had driver's ed yet, so we're working on him driving. So that's one of the things that I will be glad to be done with, is teaching kids to drive.
Yes, I
That
would
is
say
very
that's the
difficult.
same. I think I traumatized my youngest teaching him to drive, and
yeah.
they had to put me in the back with a book and said, just keep your head down and read.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir. Because otherwise
Yeah.
I'm like, 3 miles
exactly.
away. They can hit the car if they're
Exactly. So he has driver's ed coming up, and I think he's over the hump of the initial, I can't drive very well thing. So we've driven back roads where I live, and now he's going to, hopefully in the next week or so, he'll probably drive to school. We drive from Raymond to Pelham every day.
So being the youngest, do all the kids like him the best, their baby brother?
They all say he's my favorite, but he and I have a special bond. I wouldn't say, favorite is, mothers don't really have favorites. Like, he's my favorite 16-year-old.
No, I got put
he's
on
my favorite youngest.
I got put on the spot, and I'm like, who's my favorite? And I'm like, my daughter. I only have one girl, so of course she's going to be my favorite.
Yeah. And then, but yes, they all love him, but I think sometimes they're jealous because maybe he's, it's more personal.
See, I'm the youngest of 6. I have 6, and then my niece is the youngest of 4. I've got a nephew who's the youngest of 4. And so we all talk, and it's like we call it the privilege of the youngest. And only the youngest understands what that means.
Yeah.
So
but I think it's also hard for the youngest because when he was born, he had everybody around him, and he was born into a crowd.
Right.
And everybody took care of him and and loved him and everything. But then they all start moving away. So I think that's kind of hard, you know.
I remember actually missing my sister when I was the only one at home. I actually missed her. Like, wow, surprised.
Yeah.
My other kids, they'd see what the youngest had. I'm like, well, we never got stuff like that.
Right,
I'm like, well, he's an only child.
Right. And we went out to eat even. Like, and my oldest one is like, I never went out to eat. I think we went to Applebee's in Epping. Nothing special. And
never got to go.
And she's like, I never went there with you. And I was like, oh. She's like, yeah, you started going out to eat after I was out of the house.
I think that's normal for the older ones to be jealous of the other ones. Because I'm remembering my sisters being jealous of things. And like, privilege of the youngest.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do a lot of different things with the younger ones because we can, and we want to do.
You can go to the movies.
We have to make up for the fact that we used to have a big family and now we don't.
So what do you do now?
So about 10 years ago, when my 7th was a junior in high school, I started teaching at a Christian school because I went to college to learn math. Math education is my major, but I've been home with my kids and
teaching them math.
Teaching them, and unfortunately my oldest did not like math, but my second one did. She became a banker.
Really?
Yeah, she was a banker. Now she works in real estate, doing online sales, which I think is probably the hardest part of.
Sight unseen, to flip houses, to be on HGTV.
Well, she does the other end where she helps people find their dream home, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, I've given up on that dream.
I know. So anyway, she loves numbers and math, and a lot of my kids do. But I went to Christian school so my kids could go to school. So I taught, they went to school. And then I've been doing that. I'm at my 3rd different school in New Hampshire. And during 2020, I actually homeschooled for a year because I wasn't sure what was going on with the in and out thing. Everybody was in and out. I didn't want to deal with that. So I figured, let's just stay home. So we stayed home for a year. They didn't really like it. honestly, because they were used to all of the kids and
Yeah.
activities and schools and things like that. But we did do things that we wouldn't have done if we had gone to school. But so now I'm at another school in Pelham, and my youngest is 16, so he'll be a junior. So 2 more years, they'll be out of school. And then I also decided I would help out my community since I've, got more free time. So I actually ran for school board in my town 2 years ago. So I've been on the school board for 2 years. And this past election, I ran for library trustee, an ethics committee, and I ran for trustee of the trust, but I didn't make it to that one. But I did get library trustee.
What does the trustee of the trust do?
Yeah, that's a good
Besides trust
question.
the trust.
The reason I ran for
What
it
is
was
the
because
trust?
somebody asked me to, and I said, you know what? Nobody's asked me to do anything, so I'll definitely do it. But basically, they help with the transfer of the funds, the CRF funds.
What's CRF?
Okay. So
Sorry.
that's okay. I didn't know either till I found out. But like when your town collects all the taxes, they can, at some point, they're going to vote to save some money into a kind of like a savings account. And your town will vote to say, in my town, I think it's like 400,000. So we can put, as a town, 400,000 into the savings account that we can use for big items that come up. Like maybe the town needs a bulldozer or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it was that they had on the list. But there's several things that they might save for over time that you might not want to buy in 1 year of taxes. And so it's like
makes
a
sense.
savings account, but it's all monitored and checked and, voted on by the taxpayers that we're going to save the money over here. Otherwise, any excess money goes back to the taxpayers.
I like that.
Yeah,
And that sounds like a good job for a math
and
major.
sometimes it kind of is. It's a lot. It's a lot of numbers, and and that's why I tell my students that I'm teaching now how important it is to learn numbers because,
You need them.
we need more people with their eyes on the budget and their eyes on those funds. And so someone wanted me, sometimes in smaller towns, the very few people run for things, and the same people get voted in, and we just kind of let them do whatever, right? And we don't even know what they're doing. And I think sometimes you can get, say you have a board of 3 people, they can be a clique of all people. They're all friends.
They like to spend
They all
other
just
people's money.
They just watch. They don't really. There's nobody there saying, "Are you sure we should do that? Let's review that." Type of thing, or maybe even tell the rest of the taxpayers. But the trustee of the trust isn't really going to make their own decisions, really. The board, from what I understand, I don't know everything, but from what I understand, like the board of selectmen is going to say, I think we just moved like 500,000 because in our town, we're working on updating our water towers. We have like 3 water towers in our town, and they would like to put in a 4th one. And it's something that we need, but the way we're doing it, we really kind of banded together as a town to talk about it. Because there was one group that wanted to just say, let's do it, and we'll spend $1 million here, and we'll get a loan for $6 million, and then we're going to have, all these millions of dollars, and then it's not even enough because then you need a water treatment system and everything else.
Oh, we know all about water here in Merrimack.
Yeah. Right. So it's not that the trustee of the trust is going to decide what to do with it. They're kind of moving the money from one place to where it's supposed to go. And so I was going to participate in that. But it's 3 people, and they kind of work together to do that task.
So you're
as a
busy.
town.
You stay busy.
So yeah, so I'm doing that. I'm a lot of what I do. School board is a big commitment. A lot of hours go into school board stuff. There's a lot to go with that. And I don't even have my kids in the public school. I've never had them in the public school. So people say, why would you want to be on a school board? You don't even have your kids.
Taxes pay for the public school. You should have a say.
I said
in
I'm a
what goes-
taxpayer. We're all taxpayers. We should be watching over what's happening. But even on our board, we have 5 people, and 4 of them do have kids in the school. I'm the only one that doesn't have kids in the school on the board. So I think that it should be, it should be
It's community
more
service.
even than that. But so that's why I encourage people to come to the board meetings, participate, speak
they're at
up
night.
for the
And
taxpayers.
I go to bed early. I'm one of those people that goes to bed very, very early, and I get up early.
Right. Well, the other thing you can do is you can watch them. Now we have the cable stations, and you can write letters. And whatever letter you write, if you write a letter about, say there's something coming up in your school board that you want to, address,
there's been a few
get a
times,
friend.
yeah.
Get a friend to write a letter, 3 or 4 letters. But in our town, very few people speak up, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
People
There's
complain
been
like on social
few
media.
issues where I've had a constituent reach out, more than one, and say, "Can you go to the meeting?" I said, "Okay, I'm here to support not to step on the
Oh,
school
that's
board's toes,
good.
but I'm here to support my constituents
Yeah.
because they asked me to."
Oh, that's good.
And I do
that's
support
really
them.
good.
So
Yeah, and I know the
there's-
representatives are really busy, so I don't really even ask our representatives to do anything.
So a big issue
But-
right now that's very contentious, it shouldn't be, is pornography. Pornographic books. It's like we don't think that they should be in the schools.
Yeah.
And
And they're big
the other
on-
side of the aisle don't see anything wrong with this. They were banning books. I said, banning books? You mean
Yeah.
banning pornography? There's a
Right,
difference.
right. And that's why I got onto the library trustee board, and to me it's a safety for children. Like there's a difference between saying you can't have this book and what is safe for children. Honestly, there are people that don't believe that it's important to keep kids safe from stuff like that. They think kids can choose to do that stuff, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna watch. I watch my kids, and I want to take care of and protect my kids, and I feel I owe that to the kids in the community as well, to keep them safe. And so that is a discussion, and we're trying to bring about discussion without, name calling. And like I said to, even at our library, I said, just because a person with traditional values shows up and says, this book is not appropriate, you can't just go, you're a book banner, because they have no idea what you're talking about. They don't know those terms. Like some terms I didn't even know. And I'm like, you can't call me those names because that's not my intention, And if you really have an argument, you should be able to present it without calling names, and you should respect each other for
So-
what they believe.
The bill that went through the State House did not pass the House. But the representatives who made the speeches and started reading some of the content of these books that are available to children, the other side was screaming about it and walked out. They walked out. I'm like, you want children to read this, but you don't want to hear it yourself. And
Right.
the millions of people viewed the speeches online. So it's a serious issue, and
It's
not one that
hard
should be
to
ignored.
imagine. And the thing that I want to do is work from the library. There's ways that we can, like, if you get a library card, I want parents to understand that the library will not watch over your child. Like, the library is not going to keep things from your child. So, and then your library is not going to tell you what books they check out either. So I think working from the bottom and saying, helping parents to know what the laws are, because we just think the library is safe. We think it's a safe place, but it's actually becoming unsafe for children. And we need to make parents aware of that.
Do they still have programs like 2 and You, where they read to the babies?
I don't. We do have story time at our library. I don't know about the babies. We have a program at our library where they encourage parents to read like their child's first 1,000 books, and then they give them like a certificate or something, where it's more parent involved rather than doing it at the library. But they have it like 1,000 read to your toddler 1,000 books, and when you get to that point, then you can let the library know. And
yeah, they've had things like that, but my
Yeah.
kids are all grown, and they've been grown for a while now, so it's been a long time since I've even been to the library. But I used to enroll them and do those programs with the reading. And I have 5 sons and 1 daughter. One of the favorite books in my family is Hand, Fingers, Thumb by Dr. Seuss. And I read that to my little grandbabies, and they love it. You know, they'll go, they know what's coming at the one thumb, and I always doctor it up, so there's always a dum diddy dum dum on every page.
Right. Right. And I love math. Math is my thing, but I also love to read. I encourage my kids to read. You know, I have some of my kids are avid bookworms. And so we always love the library, and I think it's a great resource, and I think that it should be a respectable place for our community. We shouldn't be arguing about things that are not appropriate. You know, we should be, in my opinion, and I've said this and I've been criticized, but, you know, up the bar, you know, for knowledge. This is where we can find out so many things and have good things for kids. There should be so much good material for children that we shouldn't have to argue over stuff that's harmful.
So when the school kids come to the State House, I like to talk to them about reading, because I said, if you can read, your education never ends. You can learn anything you want to learn about. If, like, I'm one of those people, if I find a topic that's very interesting to me, like the Oregon Trail or World War II or Civil War, then I read every book I can get my hands on about those topics.
Yeah. And we have a classic book club, which I've been enjoying. And we did To Kill a Mockingbird, which I had never really read that book.
We did.
So
but I went
listened
to Catholic
to it.
School and from 5th grade on, so we had to read it.
Yeah. So I had never read it. So as an adult, I drive, so I actually listened to it on audio. And then we got together. We had probably 15 people show up, and I did video that, like, for our cable station in our town. And it was really fun because different people would pick up different topics, and we'd be able to talk about them and discuss the book. And it was really fun to come together with other community members with intellectual thought and just throw it out there and see what different people had to say. It was really fun.
They say, "Hey, boo."
Yeah.
Famous line from the book.
Yeah. And then we also did, like, Little Women was the first one. And so we've had a few other, I think there's one tonight they're doing.
You ever go on field trips down to where a lot of the famous authors lived?
When I had kids, we had Robert Frost is in Derry.
Yes.
You know, my daughter loved Anne of Green Gables. So one time my mom actually took 4 of my daughters up north to Prince Edward Island. So, and the whole time they were gone, I was like, yeah, my mom's drove them up to Prince Edward Island. They're all fighting over who gets to be Anne.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they came home, they actually got a photo where they all had the Anne costume on.
Oh,
so they all got to be
way
Anne.
Of delight. There she had a way with words.
Yeah. So they loved Anne of Green Gable. And, you know, there's other... I think that it's Clara Barton, I think, is in Mass, because my daughter was just talking about that, and she's near Sturbridge Village.
Yeah, Little Women.
Yeah.
They're all like, it's been a while since I've been there. It seems like they're all in a row.
Yeah. So we did all that, like, as homeschoolers, and we also didn't have a TV for several years. So we did without a TV for several years, so we did a lot of reading. And then when we started with the TV, bringing it back, we just watched videos. So that's when we had Blockbuster videos. So we would watch series and stuff like that. And some of the libraries had really good collections of
yeah, they do. And they used to, at our library here in Merrimack, they had, I don't know if they still do, but they had toys. You can check out toys.
Yeah.
One of my kids, number 5, he always wanted Reading Rainbow, Piggy in a Puddle. Always Piggy in a Puddle, always. And one time, somebody else had it checked out, and he screamed, "I want Piggy in a puddle! I want Piggy in a puddle!" And the librarian came running over. "What's going on?" I said, "Some other child has Piggy in a puddle this week."
Yeah.
That was one of their favorite. And Goonies. Goonies was another of their favorite movies.
Well, one of the things that people might not realize is that libraries are pretty good about buying books that you want.
Yes, they added to the Civil War collection for me.
Yeah, so I've been requesting. I requested a lot of early readers, phonetic readers. Even though, like, my grandkids would come in, and at first they kind of were like, maybe not. But
Are you familiar with Dr. Samuel Blumenfeld?
I know the name, but
Alpha Phonics.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on the board for the Dr. Blumenfeld Reading Foundation.
Oh, okay.
So that's I don't even.
Well, the
remember
books
what year
that we
was.
ended up getting were like the Usborne books, I guess. A lot of them were from them. It's like a company that sells a lot of really good books.
Have you heard of the Tuttle
And
Twins?
The Tuttle Twins. Yes, we got that at our library.
I bought them, but my grandbaby's the oldest is 3, so it's
I have
gonna
a
be a
set.
while.
Yeah, I have a set at home, but we also got it for our library, and we also got the Brave books
Brave?
from Kirk Cameron.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like Kirk Cameron.
Yep, they bought those too. So we have some patriots in town that were just like, and they're homeschoolers. We have a lot of homeschoolers in our town. So we're like, when my kids were younger, a lot of times I would just buy them, but I didn't really think about, requesting them at the library, and then we can all use them,
So I have some books I bought from the boys, well, because they were the younger ones. Sam the Minuteman, I think Lexington and Concord, all those different museums. I always try to find something patriotic for them.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed, and I've gone to the library for, learning to knit, learning to make things out of wood.
How old were you when you learned how to knit?
When I learned how to knit, okay, that's another part of me. I learned how to knit from a teacher when I was in 4th grade. She had been out from, she was not feeling well. I don't know what happened. She was gone for a little period of time, and she came back with this really nice scarf. And she's like, if you want to learn how to make a scarf, this is the kind of yarn you get, and this is the kind of needles you get. And so I went home and asked my mom to buy them. She did. And I did a few rows and sat in my drawer for a couple years. And then I think I was probably in 9th grade when I actually finished that scarf. I said, I'm going to finish it.
I think when I was a kid, I could knit a scarf, but I don't remember anymore. I have my mother's knitting needles, and she used to make beautiful things. So I have baby blankets for all my kids.
Oh, nice.
I have Barbie doll clothes that she made, a whole
nice.
bunch of them, baby sweaters and hats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I knit like in between things, like I do make socks. I just made my youngest grandchild a sweater. And it came out a little bigger than I thought it would be, but I still gave it to her. Like I finished it before he was come home from the hospital and all that. Gave it to her. She's like, oh, this will fit in the fall. And I was really kind of disappointed. I'm like, this is like for him now.
Yeah.
You have big babies, A couple weeks later, she tried it on him and she laughed because it's like a hat it kind of has a point at the top and it's brown and it zips in the back. And she said he looks like a little gnome.
Oh,
so.
Do you crochet?
That was a lot of fun.
Yes,
I do crochet as well. Yeah.
They seem to make things faster when they crochet.
Yeah.
So I never learned how to crochet. I do cross stitch.
Yeah, and I like cross stitch, but now my eyes can't really see all the holes.
I know, it's hard. Sometimes I have to get the magnifying glass, and I have to have good light. So I have 11 kits left. It's really hard to find kits now. So if I do one a year, I can do 11 more, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably can't see anymore after that.
Yeah. I did that when I was younger, but I kind of wish I had knit instead, because I want to get faster at making socks. They take a long time. But I actually have a little group on Facebook that...
a knitting circle?
A few of us, I wanted to teach them how to knit. I got one lady to follow through, and she's a grandma too, and she made a pair of socks and finished it. And she's the one who gave me the pattern for the sweater. And I thought it was going to be really easy, but it wasn't. But I did finish it.
No, are you familiar with the name Donna Sitek? She's from Salem. She was the first female speaker of the House here in New Hampshire.
Okay.
And she was one of the people that trained me when I first got involved in politics in New Hampshire. And I remember her saying that, she could have been one of those moms that knit and did all these crafts. She said, but then she couldn't be involved in politics. And
Oh.
so
You can't knit in the State House?
I think there's
Like if
one.
they are there for hours.
There's one. No, I don't think there's one who I think does.
Yeah.
But she became the Speaker of the House, and so I kind of want to fit it all in because I like my cross stitch,
Yeah.
and I have other hobbies too, and I just want to do everything.
I know. I think we're kindred spirits. Because I feel the same way. I like to do lots of different things, as you can see. But it is fun to get out into my community. I've met a lot of great people. It's hard when you realize I've lived in this community for over 20 years and I don't really know who actually runs it. Like, I didn't know who the school board members were. I didn't know the selectmen. Now I know all the selectmen. I know all the people on all the boards. I'm also on the ethics committee. So when I show up, they kind of expect me to say something when I have public comment. But I've kind of backed off a little bit because I found my certain ones that I want to put my time into. And so at first I was going to all the meetings like every single night so I could figure everything out.
Oh, see, I sleep at night, so
Yeah.
those night meetings, I don't like going to them. It's very hard. I have to have coffee in the afternoon if I'm going to go to a night meeting, and then.
Well, at the State House, they end up staying for hours, though.
Well, it depends. I mean, I was there when we had the session that went overnight, and we were done by 4 a.m. That only happened once.
That's crazy.
This term, we're almost evenly split. It's been very difficult. It's like, oh my gosh,
I've heard of the hours sitting in those chairs, and I'm like, I don't think I could do it.
Oh yeah, committee, because we have people that like to talk. It's like 10,000 words it took you to say what this man just said in 2 sentences. It's like, there's always people that talk, and things.
And they just,
It's like, oh well.
And that does interest me too, but I just don't have time for it.
Yet. It's like you raised 13 children, you're part of your community, so next I want to see you in the State House.
Oh, okay.
And thank you for being on the show.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.